You're listening to the Blizzard Community Podcast, produced by geeks, for geeks. Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth.
Hello. Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to Geeks of Azeroth episode 191. Yeah, we're getting up there. Our first real episode of 2019. My name's Tyler. With me, as always, for almost 5 years, it's Britza.
You kids don't know what you're missing. Classic's gonna be amazing. No, I can't do Deckard Cain.
Stay a while and listen.
Listen to us, please. We're so lonely.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2019.
Yes, happy, very happy. What have you been up to in your new year?
Well, so Blizzard Gaming. I only recently sort of came back. I went back to my sort of home county, my hometown, for a large part of Christmas and New Year, and only came back a few days ago. So I haven't had that much time for gaming because I don't take a laptop back with me or anything like that. So most of it has.
Shame.
I know. If anyone wants to hit those Patreon subs and throw a few $1,000s in, then that will help.
Patreon.com/geeksofazeroth.
Yeah, don't throw your money, like all your money at us. That'd be crazy. But yeah, generally it's been World of Warcraft. So getting back into that, actually been enjoying some of the weekend events. So this weekend event is the Catechism. The Catechism. Yes, the Time Walking Dungeons from Catechism, that well-known expansion. And I've actually been enjoying that because what was it? The Darkshore quest line, for example, throws some high-level loot, but the weekend events do happen to throw you some very high-level loot. So I've actually been enjoying getting my eye level up just through non-raiding stuff, which is kind of cool. So I've been doing that and dragging myself through the Battle of Darkshore. I'm not liking that one. I personal preference. I find it boring.
I still haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. No opinion.
I mean, definitely check it out. It's interesting. Do all the story beforehand and then go check it out. But for me, it just feels like I could literally put on Netflix and pay 95% of my attention to Netflix and nothing would change. So,
well, isn't that like the good old days of WoW when you were just, you didn't even have to pay attention to what you were doing. You could watch a Netflix show and grind out your gear.
The difference was that people were screaming at you back in the old days that you were terrible.
Now everybody's doing the Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix
everyone's too passive to because it's complete strangers. So
really, it takes like one person to win a Warfront. The rest can all be just AFK, right?
Sometimes it feels like it takes one person to win a Warfront because sometimes when you really pay attention to the Warfront, you seem to be the only one going for the right objective. So yeah. But no, apart from that, the thing that's kind of dawned on me is now in 2019, some people have started talking about the new next-gen consoles coming out, and it has dawned on me that I've spent probably near to £1,000 on the consoles I have. Over time.
I've bought 3 PlayStation 4s. Just putting that out there.
Well, I haven't gone that far. I did buy the PS4 Pro, but it dawns on me that I haven't probably played them anywhere near as much as I probably should. So, yeah, I'm kind of panic playing my PS4 at the moment just to get some value out of it.
If you want to know some good PS4 games, just check out last week's episode because there were some great ones in 2018. For sure.
There were some really good ones. And it's crazy to think that, a complete side note, but there's a story in the UK that, what was it? Gaming as entertainment in terms of people paying money for entertainment in the UK, gaming outweighed, was it video and music combined? So people in the UK spent more money on gaming than they did on music and video, like Blu-rays, DVDs, those sort of things, which is crazy. And what's even more crazy is like only 3 games were responsible for pretty much that, 3.8 billion pounds in the UK, and that was FIFA, Red Dead Redemption, and Call of Duty, and Call of Duty. Yeah. So I think Activision probably their eyes lit up a little bit.
Well, yeah, Call of Duty again, #1 selling game of the year. Mm-hmm. Always is. At least they
Yeah,
got
I
that
feel like
going for them.
somehow I've segued into Activision, so I'll back off and ask you what you're doing.
Same thing as always, playing Overwatch. New season started. It was really weird. Like, they had the season ended, and then just season 14 started. They didn't have like the downtime. I like hopped in and queued into a ranked game, and then I just immediately realized it was a placement. I was like, oh, damn it, I have to try. But good stuff. I'm maining a healer this season. We'll see how well that goes.
Oh, nice.
And this always happens to me. I'm at that point, and I swear it's consistent since Warlords came out. I play WoW at the beginning of an expansion, and then it's like I usually get pretty sick of it because the beginning of an expansion is usually rough. I did the same thing with Warlords, with Legion, and then BFA. And it's like 2 weeks after my subscription has expired, and I'm like, man, I really want to play WoW. So I'm starting to feel that. I'm like, no, don't give Blizzard more money, but they might be getting $15 out of me again.
It's that itch, but also remember, by the end of this year, unsubbing or that idea of resubbing will have the added bonus that you'll be unsubbing or resubbing to Classic.
Right.
So there'll be kind of that double cherry going on that will make it a bit harder to go, well, to unsub potentially. So that's another consideration coming up.
And Bellular just did a video talking about like patch 8.2 and how that could potentially just finally be the expansion we've wanted BFA to be. So, I like I said in last week's episode, I'm not giving up on WoW yet. Like, it's been frustrating as hell to be a fan of the game, but I don't know. I'm holding out that it's going to be good. So I'll probably, by the time we talk next week, I'll probably be like, yeah, I re-upped my sub, playing WoW again.
But I don't think WoW is not trying to beat that game, if that makes sense. I think
they're trying.
They're trying, but also I think they kind of expect you to dip in and dip out. They otherwise they just make subs 6th monthly and say we'll take your money 6th monthly at a time. So I think they're kind of accepting that people will go in for 2 months, play all the content, get all the value out, and then say, actually, I would have put my money elsewhere and I'll come back when there's new content. And I think they're fine with that. So. Yeah.
All right, so hopping into like a new segment that I want to do, kicking off January of 2019. We'll do this once a month, and this is new games releasing this month. I don't have an actual title for this segment. Maybe by February we'll have a sounder and what we're actually going to call it. But there's some new games coming out this month. I wanted to go over a few of those with you guys. Where'd my list go?
Oh, God.
I'm so good at this. Hold on. I can fix this. Okay. It's going to play an ad. Hold on. We can't have an ad playing. There we go. So, January. Kicking off, we actually have a pretty decent January 11th. We've got Mario & Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story. If you have a 3DS still, for some reason, you still have games coming your way. So there you go. Check that one out. But we got Super Mario Bros. U, which was a great Mario Brothers game on the Wii U, now coming to Switch. Also on January 11th, we got Tales of Vesperia coming to everything. Also on January 11th. If you like JRPGs, that one looks really, really good. And that one's already out. This is the definitive edition, so like a remaster or whatever. Onimusha Warlords? I don't know how to say that, but that's a game coming on January 15th. We got The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 3. Yeah, that episodes are still coming out. I didn't even realize that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're still somehow managing to push episodes out, so we get a new episode for that on January 15th. On January 18th, we got Yeek, a postmodern RPG, not sure what that is, coming to PS4, PC, and Switch. Sorry, Xbox. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown.
Yes.
That's the one we're all going to be playing and talking about, along with Travis Strikes Again. No More Heroes on the Nintendo Switch. But here at the end of the month, on January 25th, big game, Resident Evil 2 Remake, which honestly looks better than any of the more modern Resident Evil games since 4. Are you a fan of Resident Evil, Britza?
I've never really been into it. I do see the appeal, but it's not something I've always found other things throw my money at.
Well, I am personally hyped for Resident Evil 2 Remake. So, yeah, we'll have to check that out. Tropico 6. Ever played the Tropical games, Britza?
No, again,
me
on the
neither.
periphery. What are they? Probably,
I think it's kind of like a Sim City type
Civ sort of game.
Civ game. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Anybody in chat knows. But then the big one to end of the month on January 29th, Kingdom Hearts 3. You got to be playing that one, right, Britza?
Well, I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games, so
For shame.
And what I was going to ask, I picked
out.
it up. So I was in my local game store yesterday, and I was browsing around, and this is where I stumbled across Ace Combat 7. I completely forgot this game was coming out. It's like, okay, money I don't have is going on things that I do need, apparently. But the Kingdom Hearts franchise, I'm wondering if they need to just do a whole collection remaster set. Like, say, you're.
I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't.
Yeah, and
Like,
if
the month
that was
leading up to-
that. Yeah, and well, if that was that coming out in 29th, it was like, here's Kingdom Hearts 3 and all the previous games remastered. I'd be like, yeah, I'll chuck money at that, but unfortunately not. So, but then again, Devil May Cry is kind of one of those games that did that a bit later. So they released a new game, then went back and did the remasters. So I think I just have to wait a bit.
If anything, there's definitely story compilations on YouTube. You can check out what's happened. But I've just always loved the concept of basically Final Fantasy meets Disney. And it's just super awesome. And the combat's fun. So, yeah, totally hyped for what is supposed to be the conclusion, I think, that we've waited like over 10 years for.
Total it won't be the conclusion. What are you talking
it'll
about?
be another 10 to 15 years before we get Kingdom Hearts 4. So, we'll see. So that's the new games coming out in January 2019. Some decent ones to look forward to. And there's going to be some cool ones in February as well, which we'll talk about then. Moving on. News of the week. We've got some interesting things to talk about. First off, the Battle of Dazar Allure preview and raid schedule, or release schedule, is now live from Blizzard, because that raid is coming out when?
It's coming out on the end, or towards the end of the month.
Yep,
It is
January 22nd.
22nd.
Is when we will get the 9 boss raid. Minimum raid finder required is 350, so man, I barely beat that. Let's see.
Well, so the normal and heroic come out on the 22nd. Mythic and raid finder ring
On the 29th.
On the 29th.
Ring.
I mean, what disappoints me is that I won't see the conclusion of this until what, February 26th.
February 26th. Yeah.
And that is ages away. Like, we're only January 6th.
Yeah. Now I wonder, with how a raid finder is gonna work with this whole raid structure, having like you go back and you do the Alliance or the Horde version of the raid. Like, do you do that in raid finder too? I wonder, or do you just do like your faction's version of the raid? Answer, Britza. I know you know.
Oh God, I'm not sure. So hang on. No, you do 1, 2, 3. I don't know what the mechanic would be. Actually, I don't know how they do that for Raid Finder. I presume it's. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to find out, I guess, when it comes out. I don't know. From everybody who's tested it, like if you watch Preach on YouTube or Fat Boss on YouTube, they say this raid is really, really good. So if anything, Blizzard still makes really good raid content, so that's something to look forward to. The whole boss fight with Jaina on the ship just looks so cool. I really want to play it. So yeah, just another reason for me to resub, I guess, to do the Battle for Dazar Allure coming January 22nd. Yeah, super hype.
It's going to be good.
Yes,
it's going to be good. I do like how they've handled some of the player transformations for those faction swap scenes.
Yeah.
So how, for example, Blood Elves turn into humans, goblins turn into gnomes, except unless you're part of a certain class, for example, which doesn't have a equivalent, so you transform to the nearest thing. I like how they've done that. That's pretty cool. The only thing I'm curious about is how allied races are handled. So if you're a Dark Iron Dwarf, I presume it's this just blanket dwarves become
probably
something, Tauren or something like that. That'd be cool.
And if you're a panda, you're lucky. You stay a panda.
Mm-hmm. You've snuck in. Although, how do you know if a Pandarian's Horde or Alliance, really?
The color of their ears.
colour of their ears.
Wald, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say your name right. Wald Ride TR? Yeah, Wald Rider TR. Hi from Turkey. Wow, we got a listener in Turkey.
Hey.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. I'm excited for this raid. Totally. I'm excited just for the story implications alone. Like, we've never had quite anything like it. It's going to be super cool.
And then obviously we're following that up with the Sylvanas thingy faction splits. Oh, Southang. I'm a bit rusty going into 2019. You know how they're going to do the old choose your preferred.
Has that happened yet?
Leader.
Or no?
No, but that will be coming up. So there's going to be a lot of.
Okay.
You're looking confused. Have I got this wrong? Have they put it in the game?
I thought that whole cutscene was a part of 8.1, but I haven't played since 8.1 came out, so I don't know.
Or where you choose which story to follow.
Yeah.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure that was a part of the Horde war campaign for 8.1. But I could be totally wrong.
Yeah. I'm definitely not the person to choose.
They've time gated it though, haven't they? So maybe it's not out yet. I don't know. Someone correct us, because we obviously don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. What is WoW?
Yeah. And of course there's the 2-boss or 3-boss raid also coming in in a month or two as well, the Shrine or whatever it's called, hinting more at Ashara later to come, so that'll be cool. So we didn't put this in our notes, but while we were talking, this just reminded me of a video Mr. GM just recently put out, and it was following up on a theory based from Taliesin and Evitel, talking about Tinkers as the next class coming next expansion. And I know Gary used to talk about like Tinkers being like what he predicted for a long time, and it seems pretty likely now because as Mr. GM broke down, Tinkers already exist in the game. There's a whole squad of them on the island expeditions of all Tinkers, and they have full abilities listed, and those abilities even have level requirements. So why would new abilities for a class that's not technically in the game have level requirements?
I agree.
Tinkers in 2020.
2020, God. Yeah, no, totally. I can be behind that. I do wonder. I think back to the fact that Blizzard has openly said that they don't like releasing some content because they know it gets data mined straight away. So I'm starting to wonder whether they're starting to put red herrings in, not deliberately to try and confuse players, but whether they said, well, we could say add level caps or level requirements to these abilities and get people talking, and that way they see the conversation, they see what people are interested in. But is Sandland still not happening? Is that? I thought that was the hot topic.
Oh yeah,
Sandlane.
Yeah,
I'm not. Sandland's something else. What?
Maybe.
Warhammer head.
Yeah, that was a rumor for a while, and then it kind of dropped off once the expansion came out. So, yeah. So you're right. It could be a red herring, but it's. I don't know if they're. The way they've done it, a next expansion would be in line for a new class, potentially. So, I think Tinker would make a lot of sense. A ranged class that dropped turrets, kind of like the Engineer in Guild Wars 2. You see it how it actually functions in game because there's technically Tinkers in the Island Adventures. So, and they drop turrets and they have all these abilities. So,
the Torbjorn class.
Yes, the Torbjorn class.
and you know what? Actually, you're right. I think it's very different from an allied race in so much that you could apply it to goblins. There's probably a couple of other classes. You could do it like the Demon Hunter, I guess. Maybe just give it to goblins and gnomes, so it's a special class just for those races. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be a hero class. Like, I mean, I love my Death Knight, but I'm just not a fan of the whole idea of a hero class. I think you should start from level 1, or at least level 20, like the allied races do. Make your work.
I think so. Well, I think the heritage armors are kind of Blizzard leaning that way. Because I think with the Death Knights, that was a kind of veiled catch-up mechanic. We realised you guys probably don't want to level straight from level 1 with this class. But yeah, I'd be cool leveling from level 1 straight away, or level 20, whatever they start at.
And it would be cool too if they did it in the same vein that they did allied races, where they actually released a new class before the expansion comes out, even if it's like months before the expansion comes out. I realize a new class involves a lot of balancing that usually comes with a new expansion, but if they make you start if they make you start at a low level, that would give you a chance to have your new class up in time for the new expansion launch. Just a thought, Blizzard, if you're listening.
Well, I think you're 100% right there, because I think the allied races did wonders for the end of Legion, keeping the player base engaged, keeping it fresh, keeping it feeling like an MMO. So definitely chuck in some really exciting content towards the end and have people ready that up in time for the new expansion.
And with all, I mean, they've made so many changes, like starting with the end of Legion and still working on it. They're really trying to work on the leveling process. Like, they still want that content to feel good, and you can tell that they've been putting time into how it feels and how quickly you can get through it, and being able to do any zone you want to, So they've really focused on making that old content relevant. So yeah, give us some new classes to try it out with.
Cool to ask for the 10th time.
Moving on, Overwatch. So there's been this developing story which has kind of gone all over the place to a very strange conclusion. So there was this story about an Overwatch Contenders player named Ellie, who had stepped down from her team due to harassment. This was this big developing story, like this, this female Contenders player, how she's being harassed out of her position. That was alone the developing story that we could have made a whole conversation about just on that alone. But then it comes out that she wasn't playing at all. She was a fraud. She had someone else actually playing for her. She was just the face. Man.
Yeah. I mean, so it's a weird one because I've caught this story through a number of YouTubers and news outlets, and it's almost so weird that you feel it must have. Well, I was going to say it's made up, pun intended, but it seems like literally the weirdest story to come out of esports news, because I don't really know where you go with it. Like, what's the end goal if you're pretending to be good at Overwatch? And this girl came out and said that she wasn't good. In the end, she admitted to it. I just think, Contenders is a route to League. Right. So what would have happened? Like, would it be like an extra pair of hats, like a big trench coat?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Like, how do you?
What's the end? What's the end goal?
So she does really well. She gets onto Overwatch League team, and then suddenly she's a guy.
Yeah, called Punisher.
Punisher. Yeah. So an interesting story. Like, you're following it from this, oh man, this poor girl being harassed out of her position. Like, that's what could have been the story. And then just this weird M. Night Shyamalan, however you say his name, the director of The Ring and stuff. Not The Ring, The Forest, The Woods. I don't know.
Signs.
Yeah, that guy. It's like one of his movies. Big twist ending. Bizarre story. Totally bizarre story.
I mean, so Second Wind did come out and they said that they didn't vet this person because they were in a rush to fill a spot in time. So I guess the fault's really on them for not catching this sooner. I don't know what Blizzard said to them, but they did have a discussion between Second Wind, the team, and
hey, XQC, you want to get back into League? Just play for me. I'll be the face.
Well, but this does bring up an interesting point, like where you've got esports, like for example, you don't really have to appear in person till very late in the sort of your esports career. So this idea of not only vetting players but making sure that people are who they say they are, I think is not. When we're going to keep hearing stuff about this, and I do wonder whether it's going to be people masking connections, or whether it's sort of unfair help behind the scenes. Through most of these players are in their bedrooms at the time, so you don't know what sort of support they're getting elsewhere. So yeah, I think we'll start to hear more about this, but this just, I mean, it's so weird. Yeah. It's so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very bizarre story. But there's some interesting good news coming out of Overwatch. So Papa Kaplan, our favorite developer, still left at Blizzard. He's come out and he's been talking on the forums, talking about, he's responded to a post that said, devs do something, the game is dying, which it's not. So just to quoting Kaplan here, we worked on a balance patch this week. We're hoping to put the patch in the PTR next week. The last time I said that, it was late and everyone flipped out, so please don't flip out. Please don't flip out. They often do. He also goes on to say there's another cool surprise coming next week. Excited? So surprises. I love surprises. I don't know what that means. If I had to guess, I'd say we're going to get the Overwatch League viewer replay system probably fully implemented in the game, because he hinted, they talked before the year ended that they had a huge update coming to the game, so big that it would basically reinstall the entire game. So it's either something we don't know about, some big feature, which I'd love to see, but I think it's going to be that replay system fully implemented into the game. Because when they tested that, it was like you had to basically fully install the game a separate way just to view the World Cup. So that's obviously a huge feature. So that would be my guess why what this big update is. We're getting the replay system. Super exciting. But they have also gone on to confirm that they have 6 heroes currently in development. So I mean, we've had so far, we've just been with 3 heroes per year, but we maybe potentially will get more heroes this year. That'd be awesome. If we could get more than just 3, I'd be super excited. But he's talking about complete balance changes coming to Overwatch, like really significant balance changes. Just the nerf of Brigitte and the introduction to Ashe has already really changed how the meta is flowing in a good way. So I'm excited to see what else they're planning to do. He's said, I'll just get there. There's a checklist here down towards the bottom of everything he talked about. So top secret stuff I'm not allowed to talk about, hero balancing, quality of life features, new hero prototyping, new game mode prototyping, with in parentheses, don't expect to see these soon, feature development, ongoing event support like skins, more top secret stuff I'm not allowed to talk about, and top secret stuff I'm not supposed to talk about. That was the summary of basically everything he said. So there's a lot of big things happening with Overwatch, I guess, that he's not allowed to talk about. Mm-hmm. What could that be, Britzo? What could that be?
I don't know. My guess is about as rubbish as they get, to be honest. But I was thinking a couple of things at the same time. They all collided, and I was having a bit of a mix of it. What I think stands out for me, though, is the bit where he talks about Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how at Thanksgiving there was kind of a lull in the development team where everyone was away. So while it was slow, basically those who were around said amongst themselves they could just work on what they wanted. And they got some really cool stuff. That experimentation mode, mm-hmm. I think, to see that's brilliant. I'm really glad they're doing that. I think, and I don't want to sort of touch on the negative, but I think this is the positive side to what we kind of saw from Heroes when that kind of got put on standby, is that they're starting to really ramp up where they see mm-hmm. the strength in the game. So 6 heroes in the works, a complete you were talking on your show at the end of the year how you effectively, I guess you were asking for Overwatch 2.0. Yeah. And it sounds like that's what we're heading towards, mm-hmm. probably by at least mid-year, hopefully. So yeah, I'm really glad that they've got the capacity to deal with this much stuff and that they're willing to play about. The game mode's probably exciting more than anything else, because I think it feels a little bit stale. So I'd love to see some new ways to play the game and just some really weird and wacky stuff. Yeah. The weird and wacky stuff, for me, really captures the fun of Overwatch. Like
I've said multiple times too, like the Maze Yeti Hunt, for example, is one of my favorite events because of how it just totally changes the feel of the game. And same with like the co-op missions that we got with the Uprising event 2 years in a row. Like I love those. Those feel great to play. And Blizzard knows that the player base likes those. They can obviously see the numbers, the amount of people who play them. So maybe I'm hoping we get some kind of like co-op, PvE, more stuff like that for the game. So a cynical part of me thinks they're still going to try to do some kind of battle royale mode. We'll see.
If they do, it will be a minute game mode, 1 of 8 or something like that, just to see how it works.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm just really happy to see Kaplan just detailing like they've got a lot coming for 2019, and I hate that they say a lot of secret stuff that we can't talk about, because that just makes me like bite my nails. I'm like, what is it? What is it?
I think one of those is story packs.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I feel story packs are coming. I think they'll be monetized as well. I think it'll be something like $5 for a story pack. Yeah, I know your fate, but I can't see them not doing it. I can't see them chucking that stuff out for free. So I think sort of not necessarily solo missions, but a mix of maybe solo content and probably leaning towards more team content, like the what was it, the Talon mission? Was it? No, it wasn't
Uprising.
Talon mission. The Uprising event. Sorry, I think we'll start to see more of those, but those events were annual. I think these will start to be almost episodic. So
I mean, and truly, if they develop it, I mean, we saw the one last year was an upgrade from the first time they did it. Like there was a cutscene and everything, which was so cool to like have a cutscene and then you start playing. Like that totally, again, just made Overwatch feel new and fresh. So, if they monetize it, I mean, it's not affecting the competitive aspect. It's not. That wouldn't be pay to win at all. That would be just new content, and I think it would be worth paying for. So I wouldn't disagree with it. I mean, I don't like the idea of monetized content, but that kind of content I would pay for sure.
Well, the same price as what 3 or 4 loot boxes. I think.
Right.
I'd rather have some content like story content rather than the loot boxes, but I know some people feel different.
It was interesting. The Winter Wonderland event this year was the first event since they've been doing events that I did not spend money on loot boxes, and I still got every skin I wanted.
Got them already.
Still got every skin I wanted. I was like, yes. Because once you get to a certain level and you still play the game consistently, you don't get duplicates, or you get a lot of duplicates. And then when an event comes out, they try to prevent you from getting duplicates. So you just keep getting new stuff every time you get a loot box. So. Yeah.
So you're the player they talk about in the board meetings at Activision HQ. They're like, how do we get some money out of this guy? He will not hand his money over.
Weapon skins. That's how you'd get money out of me. Weapon skins.
True.
Yep.
Have you ever wondered whether they'll do alternative weapon styles, if that makes sense? So not just reskin the weapons, but actually modify them, not for a benefit in game, but
like
just to make them look a bit
Tracer
different.
2 crossbows, like Demon Hunter.
Yeah, well, kind of, in a sense.
I could see it. Like one thing I mentioned in the show last week was like you have this, when you open up the screen to get a gold weapon in Overwatch, it's like weapon options and it's just gold, and then this like big blank canvas of things that could be there. So yeah, I agree. Like different weapon customizations should totally be a thing. I mean, how many streamers and high level players have unlocked every single gold weapon and now they just have like they're not earning anything from competitive anymore? We need more weapon customization.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or I will happily give all that up and the story content and all the 6 heroes if they put in a big head mode like from GoldenEye on the N64.
Yes. They should at least do that for April Fools. Dude, one Twitch streamer, he went on and he was he like flipped his monitor. Like you can do that with the NVIDIA settings where it like just totally mirrors your monitor and everything. And then he hopped in Overwatch. And it was the trippiest thing in the world where just everything that you'd normally go right, you're now going left. And if you, like it made the game look totally weird. And it's like, yes, Blizzard, do this. Just mirror the maps on April 1st. That'd be so awesome.
Was it just the map? UI presumably was.
Yeah, like,
well.
so when he did it, like the names were backward, like all the lettering was off, but just he was experimenting with how the map looked mirrored. Like, just the entire route being instead of going left, you go right from, that type of idea. And it was totally weird, like a total mindfuck, really. It's like, yes, Blizzard, mirror the maps on April 1st. They would confuse the hell out of everybody.
Don't tell anyone.
Right. So that was a cool idea, yeah. Moving on, though. Other cool news. We've got the Darkening of Tristram. If you haven't played this, it's a yearly event now that they do in Diablo, which is actually totally worth checking out if you haven't yet. It's actually really fun. It's basically almost the entirety of Diablo 1 in Diablo 3. You get to go in and it like does cel shaded graphics. It makes the game look worse, but it feels totally retro. It's not, it doesn't feel like Diablo 1. You're still playing your D3 character, but it's a really cool experiment. It takes about an hour to get through, maybe. Really fun, actually. So if you haven't checked that out and you have Diablo 3 installed, you should. Britza, have you played it? I know you're just kind of now getting into Diablo. So have you checked that out yet?
Yeah, I haven't checked it. I haven't had the chance to play Diablo over the last week or so, but I wish this event wasn't just an annual thing. Like, why can't they just put it on as a game mode?
Right.
Because I don't know. I think, like, not touching on the negative, but I really feel Blizzard needs to entice players to play Diablo as it is now. I can't see why, when this thing switches off, I don't see why you'd ever switch it off. I don't know.
Yeah, Nakuma, the filter is really sick. I love that. I wish that we could just have that on the entire game. Like just that retro style. Why can't we just turn that on all the time? It's really cool. But yeah, I agree. Like
I guess
you should just be able to go there whenever you want to and just run through Diablo 1 in game. Like why not? Why does it have to be a limited time thing?
What's this content doing otherwise? Sitting on the server, just waiting for the next year to roll on. Heck, I'd even pay a little, like $1 or $2 equivalent to like have it there. I really would. I don't want to give Blizzard ideas, but I don't.
Activision's like, ooh, good idea.
Yeah, good idea, Britza. But I don't. Some annual content where it's seasonal makes sense. The Darkening of Tristram literally has nothing to do with the holidays,
right?
And it's nostalgic. So, and as Nekamo points out, fighting the original Butcher, people want to go back and do that. So, if it gets people logging into your game, guess what, Blizz? It increases your monthly average users, time in game. Suddenly, your investors feel a little bit better. But that's a whole different story. Or is it actually? What are we going into?
Yeah. So, one final thing. Again, like, we're trying to stay positive, focus on the good stuff, but bad things just keep happening.
Well, this is positive.
This actually is kind of positive. So, in the span of a week, Activision and Blizzard have both lost their CFOs. One just left, the other one was fired. I actually didn't realize that they both had separate CFOs. I thought there was just one CFO over the whole company. So that's interesting. But Blizzard's CFO specifically was one who had, the one bringing the most negativity throughout the company, the one who said we need to cut costs at all corners, try to just increase our revenue and cut all of our costs. So, she was under fire for a lot of those statements, and that's who a lot of people in that op-ed from Kotaku talked about. Like all the Blizzard employees were scared of this person technically, and now they're gone. So one of them went to Netflix, and the other one went to Square. So. Hey, this could be an actual good change for Blizzard going forward. Maybe.
I think it's a maybe. I can't see them turning away from the cost cutting because cost cutting is just something every business is doing now. It's just part and parcel of the time. But I think the positive spin to it is exactly what you touched on. That there was a real anxiety in employees that cost cutting was becoming the predominant focus rather than making great games. I think the words that she used were don't spend money where it isn't necessary. And I think that culture shift was a bit too hard on employees, and the fact that hopefully the guy who's the guy they've put in, it's Dennis Durkin,
who used to be the CFO.
Yeah, who used to be a CFO. What was it? He served the post for 5 years up until May 2017. So you would hope that he's well versed in getting the right message across in the right way. The fact he's got he's got $11.3 million in stock out of this, and he's got a $3.75 million sign-on bonus. So cost cutting clearly isn't the focus at the exec level.
They could have funded HGC with this guy's bonus that he got to transfer departments. That kind of corporate stuff makes me cringe a bit, but cost cutting.
Yeah. And his stock is based on the current stock price, presumably, which you'd expect to go back up. So it's going to be a lot of money. But I generally think that they're in a better place now. They've got someone who's a bit more familiar, someone who understands the business. But go back to your point, I don't know why they have. I know why they have two CFOs, because Blizzard has had this view of being autonomous. But genuinely speaking, when these people are getting paid $10 million a year, I don't know why you'd have to. $10 million, you could pay for a development of a whole new game, or you could heavily invest in the development of a current game. So
you could invest in
chuck that money at Diablo.
You could invest in an esports league, for example.
Oh yeah, well, you could. You could. I mean, that's half of signing up a team in it's not quite now, but that's as you said, it's HGC paid for and then some. It's you could knock a few dollars off pretty much every WoW subscriber's subscription. you could. I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to do that, and I'm not trying to say this guy isn't worth his money. Well, I am kind of saying that, but I just feel like some of these decisions still don't make any sense. But hopefully it gets better.
All right, and moving on to some just game-related conversation in general. Britza, you had a topic that I thought was pretty interesting. Why don't you... I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Oh, thanks. So, yeah, it's a bit of a general gaming topic, but it does affect us as Blizzard gamers for pretty obvious reasons, because we are Battle.net users. So what happened is that, condensing a very long story into a short time frame, Warner Brothers had to pull the Lego Lord of the Rings games from Steam, and the believed reason for this, or at least the assumed reason for this, is due to licensing issues, where they've taken music directly from the films and put them into the game, and there's a bit of a legal dispute, and the games just got pulled suddenly. And the reason I wanted to make this a discussion topic is because a lot of people, gamers rather, started to, not use this is the wrong word, but started to point to this as an example of why you can't always trust digital as a platform, and why physical media is, it's really important that we don't forget the advantages and the importance of physical media, because not just the idea of Warner Brothers taking a game offline, or any company taking a game offline, but if something goes wrong, or a company collapses or something like that, suddenly you lose all your games. So I just wanted to throw it out there and say, what do you think, Charlie, about
first, like, a question, did it pull it from your library if you had already purchased it? Okay. So
if you purchased it, you kept the game, but you couldn't suddenly go and buy it. It was part of a Humble Bundle until recently.
Yeah, I mean that is interesting though. It's an interesting concept. I mean, because a lot of people are going digital only. Like with my PlayStation, for example, I don't have a single disc. All of my games, because I have the terabyte PlayStation Pro. I've downloaded every game. Same thing with my Switch. I got an SD card, and it's been fully digital on my Switch because it's just more convenient that way. But then you think about it, like there's nothing, like you pay for the game and you think you own it, but there is nothing that says, like, for some reason the PlayStation Store could go down and you just no longer ever have access to that game again, or the Nintendo eShop could go down and you no longer have access to those games ever again, or Steam suddenly just disappears one day, and all the money that you've invested in, like myself, I have like 200 games in my library, and I've played like 15 of them, as typical PC gamers do. What if Steam just goes away one day? Just Valve pulls the plug, and all of those games are just gone. You have no access to them. So that's like the interesting conversation, I guess, when it comes to digital games. Like, you don't technically own the game. Like, it could disappear at any point in time. So that's the weird thing.
Yeah.
And the advantage to physical media, for sure. But my computer doesn't even have a disk drive. So it's like...
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing. I'm kind of split on this. So I don't buy like Blu-rays of films or DVDs of series and things like that, because I can stream all that stuff on Netflix. But yeah, when people ask me, like, why do I have a huge physical anime collection, I'm like, well, Crunchyroll, someone might lose the rights to something, and I don't want to lose lose one of my favorite series if it goes offline. So I'm kind of a bit hypocritical in this sense. But the other side to it is also I think about Overwatch, and I remember that there was a bit of YouTube drama over the holidays about some I think Jake Paul was one of them, and another YouTuber was caught out. Yeah, Ricegum caught out for promoting gambling, and that got me thinking about the fact that the whole loot box situation with Overwatch never really got resolved. That's Belgium, for example, viewing loot boxes and things like that as gambling. So what would happen if, say, the US government or the UK government said, you know what, this game promotes gambling, we've got stricter gambling laws, so as a result, this game can't be played. Or if you think about what Blizzard's trying to do in China, for example, you think about Chinese consumers. What if China turns around and says, you know what, American company, we're gonna block Blizzard now. We're not interested in their games.
Well, then Diablo Immortal won't even happen.
Well, that's it. And I'm not trying to make this political or suggest like the political ramifications, but it's not just the system's failing or the company's going bust. It's other people with the power deciding, you know what, you shouldn't be able to access this for some reason. And that kind of hits me because we're such a stream-based culture now.
I mean, and
you know,
it isn't just
TV
games. Like you said, it's like movies and TVs you don't buy physical copies of. I haven't bought a CD for music in years, you know? So,
no, same.
Yeah, it is interesting. We are a total digital age now of all of our content, and technically it could just all disappear depending on, like you say, I mean, not to make it political, but politics could come into just saying this isn't allowed anymore, and then boom, everything you've spent money on is just suddenly not available.
And there's already rumors that the next gen console is going to be heavily focused on stream-based gaming, and I'm not sure how that will take off because I don't think the internet infrastructure is in place.
They talk about that on. They were talking about that on IGN's Game Scoop earlier this week, where they there's going to be 2 Xboxes. Like, we pretty much know that's confirmed. Microsoft developing one that's just basically a streaming box. And, like, we don't have the infrastructure for that, especially in America. Like, middle America, there's, like, less than 1 megabit download speeds in a lot of places in the country. Like, we don't have the infrastructure for that. So it's interesting, for sure.
Yeah. And I don't think there's a way to... You can't... There's not like a right answer with this discussion. It's just the trend that's going away from physical media, which obviously has environmental connotations.
Right.
You know, when you chuck that stuff in the bin, it doesn't just disappear like you delete a file on your PC. But I do worry, like, what happens if we become an overly digitized gaming culture? And then...
Like, I wish it was less DRM oriented. Like, I wish you could download World of Warcraft, and then you could just always have the file, and you could play it without the BattleNet launcher requirement, right? Like, if the BattleNet launcher goes down, you can't play any BattleNet games. If Steam goes down, actually with Steam you can, but no, you still have to have Steam installed to play the Steam games. So I wish there was less, like, once you download the game, once you buy the game, regardless of the source of it, if you have the file, you can keep it, right? Like, that would instill a sense of ownership. So I think that would be a better direction to go. It won't happen, but I think that would be the better solution. You could just save the game file on your hard drive, and you could play it regardless if you had the platform you downloaded it from. So kind of like downloading a movie, for example, right? There's no requirement to, like, once you download the file, you have it. Like, so yeah.
You have it forever, stored somewhere. But with Warcraft 3, obviously, you had the digitized discs. And, you had to put in the activation key, and that obviously had a purpose. But largely speaking, you had the files installed. With Warcraft 3 Reforged, presumably you'll need Battle.net to boot that up.
It's like the StarCraft remaster. You used to be able to just play StarCraft with just the file. You could play it without any kind of DRM related anything. And StarCraft Remaster has to launch with Battle.net. So,
yeah, and I've just remembered something, and I this isn't going to be the discussion, but this is an example of what I was talking about with powers deciding something for you, with the whole Twitch requiring you to link your Battle.net to engage in the chats. I think that's a mixed response, and I think there's goods and bad sides to that. But, like, for example, if something gets misinterpreted, and I just imagine, like, don't think too hard about what could be misinterpreted, but say there is a misinterpretation, or someone pushed the wrong button on a moderator's keyboard or something like that, and you get banned. That's it. All your digital content is gone. You can't access it. You're banned. So, and I think that's the interesting thing, is that it's that relationship. You can't sit there and go, oh, well, I can't use Battle.net, but I still have all my loot box content, and I still have all my I have all my games. You don't. You instantly lose it. Oh.
Very, very interesting. Let us know on Twitter what you guys think. Are you all digital? Do you buy your games still with the disc? And even if you buy your games with the disc, still there's DRM related stuff. So even that's not safe. But just let us know what you think. But we're running out of time, so it's time. I'm going to send us right into Blizzard 20 questions.
Geeks of Azeroth, the moment has arrived. Have you studied the lore?
Studied the lore? I am the lore!
It's time for Blizzard 20 questions.
That's right, it's time for Blizzard 20 questions. This time Britza has the answer, and it's just me, so Twitch chat, I'm gonna need your help with this one. We'll let the questioning begin. Is this from Warcraft?
Yes.
Off to a good start, everybody.
Yeah.
Is this a character from Warcraft?
It is a character.
Oh, we're gonna smash this, boys.
Gently trying to caress my Razer keyboard keys without smashing. No one likes the clack.
Razer, is Razer? That's not a part of this. Is this a Razer keyboard? Just kidding.
Oh God, I gave it away.
It's a character from Warcraft. Is this character? Was this character in the Warcraft RTS series?
It was. It was, yes. I almost stumbled there.
All right, so is this character in the game currently?
Not in the game currently. I mean, I'm 99% sure.
Okay.
Unless they've come back as a reference or something like that.
Is this okay? Is this character dead? Okay.
Yep, they are definitely dead.
Definitely dead. Okay. No, I should. Is this character male?
Yes. Okay. I don't know why I thought about that.
Hesitation.
I'm really worried about giving something away because I always said, yeah, he's not in the game currently, and I'm worried about giving stuff away.
Is this character a playable race?
Oh, yes.
Not
a host.
Male character that was a playable race that is currently dead, that was in the RTS series. Let's find out when this character died. Was this character in World of Warcraft in Cataclysm or after? Were they alive in Cataclysm or after?
Not alive in Cataclysm.
Okay.
Or after.
I guess I should specify, what the question was. This character ever alive in World of Warcraft?
They were not alive in World of Warcraft.
Okay. All right.
I'm glad you asked that.
So, just a character from the RTS series. Well, it could be like someone like...
You were so happy for Reforged. I thought I couldn't choose a WoW person. I had to choose someone from the RTS.
Okay. Was this character in the Warcraft movie?
Oh. I'm pretty sure they weren't. Their name might have been shouted, like, in the background of the final scene.
Okay, so... Well, I was going down, like, maybe the Medivh route or something like that.
No, they are not in... Or he is not in the Warcraft movie. Although that's so full of Easter eggs, I bet he is somewhere, but...
a playable race.
I'm pretty sure he's
not in the Warcraft movie. So, I mean... It's got to be from Warcraft 3, especially because you mentioned I'm excited for Reforged, so I don't need to waste a question on that.
I won't. I'll give you that.
Is this a Horde race? Is this character a Horde race? Okay.
Nope.
So, an Alliance race, male character from Warcraft 3.
A playable
Alliance race. But they were never alive in World of Warcraft, so it couldn't be like Arthas, because Wrath of the Lich King. Unless you would consider him not alive. He was alive.
No, I'm not doing that whole Death Knight nonsense. No.
Is this human?
Yep, human.
From Warcraft 3.
Getting closer. You've got 8 questions to narrow down where in Warcraft 3 they go. Because there were a lot of humans that were there and now are not.
Paladin?
Oh. No. Not a paladin.
Rubbish. Set a timer for 4
I'm
minutes.
looking at what their character class was, and I used the character class in inverted commas, and I want this to be in the game.
I'm running out of ideas. Male is... Was this character in the first chapter of Warcraft 3? So, like, the whole, like, opening, like, Arthas part up until he gets Frostmourne-esque, until it switches to the Horde campaign, basically.
Not in the Arthas campaign.
Fucker!
I'm gonna double. He definitely was in the Arthas one. Hang on. I'm trying to work out how the campaigns worked. Let me check. Warcraft 3 campaigns.
Set a timer for 2 minutes.
Tell me the answer.
Okay.
Okay, 2 minutes
fine.
and counting.
Oh god, which one was? I'm gonna give you a clue. So this character is from the Frozen Throne expansion.
Okay, from the Frozen Throne, male playable race character. Did I already guess? Yeah, human. So it's a human, not a paladin. From the Frozen Throne. Oh no. And they're dead. Who? What was this character? I'm kind of stumped on this one. Hold on.
I think you can do it. You just got to figure out where they were.
I'm having a hard time
In the
remembering the Frozen Throne characters. It's not Medivh. It's not. Like, it can't be like Rexar. I think you've stumped me, Blizzard. Or Britza. 20 seconds. Is it Paul?
Paul is not their first name. I'll give you one more clue, because I think you are truly stumped. You kill this character.
I'm stumped. I don't know. I can't. Is it George the Third?
No.
Giving up.
It is Othmar Garithos. It's the Grand Marshal character who bullies Kel'Thas. And Sylvanas kills him.
Damn it.
I'm hoping that was it. I'm definitely sure that was in Frozen Throne, but
Damn. Well done, Britza. You stumped me on that one. Good job.
Woo. I'm the god at this now. 2019 is going to be my year for 20 questions.
Definitely. Well, that about does it for this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth. I want to thank everybody for joining us. As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and right here on twitch.tv/Geeks of Azeroth every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific time. You can find us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. Britza, I know you had something to throw into the ending here.
Yeah, well, firstly, you can follow me at Britzer_EG, but also Alessandra, long-time listener, fan, and
contributor
of the show, contributor, indeed, yeah, or before contributor, has put together a sort of Your Week in Starcraft, so that's going to stick around right to the end of the show to listen to that. So thanks, Alessandra, for putting that together. Hopefully we'll have a few more.
And you can find me on Twitter at EpicGeeksTarley. And you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Geeks of Azeroth. I'd love to see you there. Wink, wink. Wink.
Yeah, we love Razer laptops particularly.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
This week in StarCraft, ESPN announced the moment of the year. Cyril becomes the first non-Korean to win WCS. Kelzer won the best athlete of other genres in Brazil, i.e. esports. StarCraft 2 will once again be featured at the IEM Katowice. Grand Finals will be on March 3rd for a prize pool of $250,000. The first round of qualifiers begins next weekend. The Katowice War Chest 2019 Complete Bundle is live, with new skins for buildings, 3 new comics of Diablo Pet, Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone loot boxes. 25% of all War Chest purchases go to StarCraft 2 esports. You can also earn War Chest XP by watching StarCraft streams. Blizzard announced it is still working on details of StarCraft 2019 esports. Both WCS Korea and WCS Circuit will continue in 2019, and something new called WCS Winter will replace one of the regular WCS Circuit stops. Qualifiers will run January 17th, 18th, and 20th. This GSL-styled 10-week program of 2 online tournaments, one for the Americas, one for Europe, will culminate in a live winner advances battle between the top 6. Patch 4.8.0 is out. Dota 2, StarCraft 2, Tekken 7, Arena Valor, and Mobile Legends have been confirmed as esports to be played in the Southeast Asian Games in late 2019. This is the first time esports will be a medal event in a major sports competition. Soul Key defeated Sharp to win Season 2 of KSL, the Blizzard StarCraft Remaster tournament. Flash won't be playing in ASL this Season 7 due to his wrist injury. Beyond the 2016 BlizzCon champion, who has suffered numerous problems of his own this year, announced he is going to retire in January and depart for mandatory military service. The National Championship Series, a nationwide series of in-person sports esports competitions backed by Compass and Nerd Street Gamers, has been announced. This season will feature hundreds of regional tournaments and weekly training events including Overwatch, Hearthstone, and StarCraft 2. Another StarCraft comic book miniseries is coming out in late January, StarCraft Soldiers. One of the bigger lands in StarCraft 2, Cheesadelphia 8, ended in December with an upset by Future, a 16-year-old, after he defeated Masa, and also Special, who was ranked number 4 in the world. Most of the foreigners planning to make a GSL run in early 2019 are currently back in Korea, or soon will be, at the Root Unity House, to practice. The SSC AIT StarCraft AI tournament should start up again for Season 7, once classes are back in session. The practice ladder is still dominated by Seda, the bot entry from Samsung Corporation. Facebook's bot, Cherry Pie, is hovering around 4th place. And starting next Wednesday, the Pylon Show podcast will be returning. And that's your week in StarCraft.